I remember my first crush as a little kid. I was a small black boy in an even smaller town in New York. I was in kindergarten and his name was Nathaniel. And even back then, I knew it wasn't okay for me. It wasn't safe for me to come out of the closet back then. I knew back then that I needed to keep it inside just for a little bit. Fast forward a couple years, I was 7 years old, and it was one of the many attempts I tried to come out of the closet. And each time I was just met with extreme homophobia because the family that I was around at the time told me that they knew I wasn't gay and I was just doing it for attention. Because when they asked me the question if I wanted a big black thing inside of me, at that time I was like, well, no. I noticed there was always this sexualization towards what it was that I liked. You know, it was always this weird obsession people had. And so as I went throughout my life, as I continued to grow, I knew I still had this part of my identity. I didn't argue with it with people because I knew what it was that I liked. I knew what was in my heart. And I knew that I needed to just be unapologetically myself. Fast forward to high school, early 2010s, and I was wearing makeup. And at that time, everyone started projecting onto me and even aggressively telling me that I was just a trans woman, that I was wanting to be a woman, and telling me all these labels that I needed to identify as, when to me, I was just simply me. I was a black man at the time that just wanted to wear makeup, but still identify as a man. I would be so frustrated trying to convince people that I was comfortable with my gender, even though they were uncomfortable with how I presented my gender. And so from then on, I made it my mission to always just be this shining example that you could be a man, a black man who liked other boys, who identified as a man but still was comfortable enough with their masculinity to wear makeup sometimes. Because so many people tried to tell me who I was when I knew who I was. Everyone else told me I was either too young to know, or I wanted it for attention, or anything like this. Everyone always kept projecting their thoughts onto me, and I made it my mission to defend my heart, to defend this wounded child that was inside of me. And so that's how I've gone through life. I always say that I'm just a man on a spiritual journey. I'm just a man reading some tarot cards to you. And through this year, through 2021, I started questioning a lot in myself. There was a point in time that I thought I was even asexual because I was trying to figure out what it was that I could identify with. For such a long time, I tried to stray away from labels or anything of the sort. I didn't care if you called me he, she, thing, that, ill, honey. As long as you were talking to me, I was grateful enough for that. And even how I would always present myself, finding that nice balance between masculine and feminine. A lot of people never received me in a positive way because they couldn't figure me out. And so throughout this year, I've really tried to figure out myself out, putting a label on myself that I tried so hard to stray away from because everyone else kept telling me what my identity was when I knew my identity deep down. And so the idea, the concept of being gender fluid or being non-binary, this was a concept that I always acknowledged I probably could have identified as if I gave it the time of day, but I never did. I always wanted to show people that you could be a black man who wore makeup and still be comfortable as being a man. And while there's a part of me still that still believes in that concept, the more I started doing research into what non-binary represents, at least what it means to me, what non-binary means to me is just this sense of freedom of no longer having to walk on this tightrope that is gender identity, that I didn't have to find this nice balance between being masculine presenting or feminine presenting or exuding feminine traits in how I spoke or connected, or being more of a man and being more assertive. You know, all these weird labels that people would find, that people would use to identify another individual. And I got to the point now, I suppose, where I'm tired of it. I suppose I'm just tired of having to limit my soul, limit my being to the concept, to the construction of what people perceive to be masculine and what people perceive to be feminine. What makes a woman any less of a woman because she chooses not to wear makeup and dresses? What makes a man any less of a man because they choose to exude vulnerability and to use makeup to have an artistic expression, or to wear makeup just because they want to wear makeup? You know, to me, I'm just me. As an individual who used to just stray away from labels because I never wanted to complicate things, I've discovered this sense of freedom to no longer feel this pressure of having to work around the confines of what it's like to be masculine, what it's like to be feminine, to follow these rules because it just feels so limiting. And really, when you think about it, to me, it's just so boring to have to either be masculine or to be feminine. Why can't I just be human? And so what non-binary means to me is that I release myself from all those labels. By labeling myself, I release myself from so many labels that people would try to tell me that I am. And I am going to be honest, I don't really know what this journey of being non-binary looks like for me. You know, there's never, just like there isn't any type of guidance or pamphlet or book on how to be a Black gay boy in an extremely racist and homophobic small town in New York on the countryside. Right now, there doesn't feel to be a book that talks about the journey of being a Black non-binary human being. So while I do have this fear of people perceiving me, not in a way of accepting me, but this fear of people trying to overcomplicate who I am and who my identity is, there's also just this sense of just feeling as if I could breathe now, where I don't have to even think about what it is that I'm presenting myself as. And when someone asks me, what am I can just say that I am me. I can say that I am human and have that just be just enough. I feel as if to truly identify as a non-binary person, you have to be able to just be comfortable and love who you are as a human being. And I feel as if I am now discovering what it's like to be non-binary because of the relationship that I have with my human self, and be able to not want to follow the constructs of what society tells me that I am, and just to give myself the freedom, to give myself the power of just acknowledging myself as a human being and allowing that to just be enough. That there doesn't need to be another label behind it, that one label can encompass everything that I am and will be. If you are confused, if you have questions, that's okay. So do I. But I don't think we're supposed to have it all figured out. I feel as if we need to be more kind to ourselves and realize that we don't know exactly what it is that we want to be for the rest of our lives the moment we graduate school. That we don't know who we are as humans the moment we are able to buy alcohol, and that the moment that our country decides that we are of legal age to be considered an adult. That it's okay to be in our 30s, 40s, 60s, 80s, and still discovering what it's like, who we are as human beings. That we are divine souls having a human experience, and the journey of self-discovery never stops. And so if you have questions, that's okay. I have them too. Hopefully we can take this journey together of self-discovery. I don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. I don't know what next year is going to look like. I don't know what I'm going to identify as, or if I will still identify as non-binary. But at this current point in time, this is what feels right to me. At this current point in time, nothing has made more sense. Nothing feels more free than being able to just label myself, to free myself of all these other labels. By finally accepting these newer concepts of what non-binary and gender fluid and all these other concepts are that I tried so hard to avoid, to simplify things. By embracing these new concepts, it actually just simplified everything else in my life. There's no longer any question or any sense of needing to balance anything. I am just simply Velka. I am simply a human being I hope through my documentation on whatever comes to my mind on this channel, on my own self-discovery with my identity and who I am as a human being and the thoughts and feelings that I have, that I'm able to express this on this channel and hopefully not only make other people feel less alone, but to have other people feel as if they can find someone they can relate to have my experience be what causes someone else to challenge their own perspectives. And so I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening to me. I started this journey on YouTube being a man on a spiritual journey, and little did I know so quickly on this journey on YouTube that I would now turn to being from a man on the spiritual journey to just being a human being on the spiritual journey. And so I hope you take this journey with me, and I love you.